Hi guys, welcome back to this week's vlog. Now, I have tried filming this vlog so many times and I actually filmed it yesterday and everything, and I just got to the point where I needed to edit it, save it and upload it onto YouTube. But it's kind of been a slight change of plan. It's happened a little bit quicker than what I knew about yesterday, if that makes sense. So I thought I would tell you guys because I feel like you guys deserve to know kind of what's going on. So apologies, this vlog is going to be a little bit of a chatty vlog, so I do apologise, and if you guys don't like these kind of vlogs, that's fair enough. I completely understand, you don't have to watch it, but it's basically just an update with what's going on with Mittens, which isn't actually what we was expecting to have this kind of news to share with you all and things. It's not the best of news, I'm not going to lie to you, so that's why I'm here to basically tell you what's happening. And also there's a little bit of an update on Dan, which is nothing major, but just tell you guys what's going on and why we're a little bit quiet. So let's get started on with Mittens, because this vlog's mainly on Mittens really. But yeah, let's just get started and then you guys will kind of understand where we're at. So obviously the last vlog you've seen with Mittens was the first day when I took her out on rehab, which went really well. So that was on the Sunday, day after we picked her up. Was really pleased with how she was getting on. Now the plan was for us to do it like 2-3 times a week, because we didn't want to do it every single day with her, because obviously we're worried about it being too much for her leg and things. Also obviously I do have Dan that I want to go out and do different rides with and trot and canter, which I'm unable to do with Mittens at the moment because she can only do 6 weeks of walk. So 2-3 times a week we thought is perfect. We go around our smallest block that we have, and we only walk, and that was meant to happen 3 times a week for 6 weeks, see how she got on with that, and then eventually take it up to trotting. So on the Monday it was basically terrible weather. I was like, there's no point even going out with it, it was vile, the weather. I don't particularly like riding in the rain. I will ride in the rain, but obviously if there's an option I would choose not to, and I'm sure that's for everybody that owns horses. And also Dan doesn't particularly like to be ridden out in the rain, which I don't blame him. So I was like, right, we're not riding. And it was for a few days where the weather was really bad. Then there was this one particular evening, it was actually a Thursday and it was dry, and I was like, right, let's get the pair of them out. So I got Mittens ready. I didn't vlog any of this because I don't want to keep vlogging it, because it's going to be the similar vlog as the first video, if that makes sense, and you guys might find it a bit boring. You might not, but that's how I feel you guys would. I've started putting brushing boots on Mittens when riding, because personally everybody's opinions is different, but I like my horses to wear boots, like whatever they're doing, whether they're just walking around the block, jumping, whatever. Dan wears boots for basically everything. When I ride him, he'll either have tendon boots on, cross country boots on, brushing boots, basically whatever discipline we're doing he wears boots, unless it's like dressage, competition or showing where you're not allowed to wear boots. They're the only times where he doesn't have boots on, when being ridden. But for everything else I always make sure he has boots on, and he wears the high-vis with wear brushing boots when out hacking, which you guys will have seen in vlogs. And they actually had a pair of Lemur brushing boots. They're like grey, they're kind of like, they're high-vis ones, but they're not like your normal high-vis colours like green and pink. They're like grey, but they're like really reflective, which we actually bought for Dan a fair few years ago now, but they were slightly small for him. So I tried them on Mittens because I wanted her to wear kind of reflective boots for out hacking, and they fitted her. So I put them on her, and obviously she gets ridden out with a bridle because she is known to just tank off with me. So I got on Dan, we walked up the road. We done the same block that was on the vlog, but we just done it the opposite way round to just change it up for them. So we went and done that. Mittens only stopped once, which was actually better than the first time we took her out. And also she was a lot faster. And I only know she was faster, guys, is because I have the app Equestrian, which basically tracks your ride, tells you how long you've been out for, the speed that your horse is going, whether that's walking, trotting and cantering. I've used it for about 3 or 4 years now. I use it for every single ride. You don't have to use it just for hacking, you can use it for dressage, jumping, competitions, basically whatever. I only use it for hacking. I actually do remember to put it on every time I go out for a hack. Sometimes I do put it on if I'm having a lesson. That's if I remember, because obviously once you're at a venue, you're kind of just getting your horse ready, getting on, then you meet your instructor. So sometimes if I remember, I put it on for a lesson, but if I don't, then it's not really the end of the world. But I just like it to see how much trotting we've been doing and things. And it actually said the speed that she walked, and then I looked back on the first ride we done and she was actually a bit faster, so I was like, oh, this is brilliant and things. And my mum followed behind the car like she did in the first time, because eventually the plan was to take her out on my own without my mum following, but because it was only the second time, and like I keep mentioning, she is known to just tank off. If there is any problems, my mum can just stop, get out the car, go and get her, if that makes sense, rather than me trying to deal with it myself. So that was the plan, to do that for a few times, and then eventually I would take her out on my own like I do with Danny. But yeah, we've only actually done it twice, guys. So we come back, was really happy with her, sorted her out, blah blah blah. Come up on the Friday morning, Mittens was absolutely fine. Obviously we had to do what we normally do in the mornings. I can't remember what I was even doing that day. I was off doing something, I was busy. I come up in the evening and I'm just going to take Danny out for a ride on his own, and I'll go for a little bit of a longer ride where we can trot. Mittens and stay at home. My mum was sat in the car basically waiting for me, and Mittens come across the field and she noticed that Mittens didn't look quite sound. So funnily enough, while I was out riding, I was kind of planning for the following week, like how I was going to get Mittens out, because the following week on the Monday I was going to Wolseley Show, which you guys will have already seen that vlog, and then on the Wednesday I was going to North Devon Show, which again you guys would have seen that vlog. So I wanted obviously Dan to have a day off in between those shows, and I also wanted to get him out to do some trotting, but at the same time I needed to get Mittens out at least 2 or 3 times that week and things, and I needed to work it around like when I was working and things, because obviously my mum needs to follow in the car when I'm taking Mittens out. So I was just planning that, and I had it in my head what I was going to do that week, and I come back in and I was literally just about to tell my mum the plan of when I was going to take Mittens out, and my mum was like, Mittens isn't sound. I was like, what? Like, no, that can't be. As you guys are aware, our field is on a hill like that, so sometimes you watch the horses walking towards you and you're like, oh my god, are they all right? They're absolutely fine. It's just kind of the ground, it's a bit like bumpy and it's just not the best. I find it quite hard to walk across the field, if that makes sense. It's just not the easiest. So sometimes they do look like they're not right, but they actually are. And then obviously where we park our car, it's quite stony. With a pony that doesn't have shoes on like Mitten, she obviously really feels it on her hoof, so it makes her walk a little bit funny. So I was like, right, let's take her up the road and just see what she's like. Obviously, to see if a horse is sound or not, the best bet is to lead her up on a flat bit of road or something like that, or a lane. Unfortunately, there is no flat lane or anything here where I keep the horses. As you come out my gate, we're on a hill like that, which isn't the best to see if a horse is sound, but we have to work with it. So I walked her up the hill. My mum actually filmed it. I walked back down, I looked at the video, my mum was like, no, she's definitely not right. I looked at the video and I was like, no, she's not right. Before I looked at the video, I thought to myself, oh my god, like, I hope this isn't her leg where she's done her injury on. Like, have we done too much with her? But then I thought to myself, how have we done too much with her when she's literally been out twice and it hasn't been in a row? There's been like 4 or 5 days in between. So I was like, she can't have, like, it can't be too much for her. But like, who knows? Like, we've been given the all clear from the vet to say that we can just crack on and start rehabbing her, because obviously we wouldn't have just brought her home and got straight onto the rehab and if the vet didn't advise us to do that. And Mittens was meant to do her rehab like 3 or 4 months before she even come home, but the lady that had her on loan like didn't bother to do it. So yeah, so it's been like a fair few months since the vet has said she's all clear to start doing 6 weeks of walk, etc. So I was like, how can that be? Anyway, I looked back at the video, and as you do when you think your pony's not sound, you're constantly looking back and you make yourself paranoid, don't you? Because you're like, oh my god, what's the problem, kind of thing. And I was watching it back and I was like, you know what, I don't think it's the front that's actually the problem. I think it's the behind, the right hind leg. I think that's where she's not right on. And I was watching it back, so and I was like, yeah, I'm 90% sure that is the problem. Anyway, obviously, because I've got the video, I'm going to put it in, guys. I'm going to put it here for you to be able to see, because I like to be honest, and obviously I want to share what's going on with Mittens, etc. So here's the video.
the things we used to do. No, you couldn't stand tall, so why didn't you call?
Anyway, so when we went down to my mum's friends and we were like, you know, have a look at this video. I didn't tell her what I thought the problem was or where she looked lame. I just let them have the video and was like, have a look at the video and tell me where you think she's lame, what leg she's lame on. And they're like, the back right hind leg. And I was like, yeah. I said, that's where I would say she looks lame as well. And they was like, yeah, she's not right there. So I was like, right, obviously Mittens isn't going to sort herself out, so we need to contact like a back person or something like that. I was like, I wonder if she's like fallen over in the field. Maybe they've been running around, and because our field's on a hill, she might have slipped. You know, we've had a lot of rain, it's been very slippery, etc. So our back person that we normally use for that's come out and seen Mittens before she went out on loan, and Danny and everything, he's absolutely amazing. We call him the magic man, but he lives like 2 hours away from here, and he's extremely busy, and I just think it's because like he's just so good and everybody wants him. So it's really hard to like get hold of him, etc. So we was like, right, let's find somebody like else which I know it sounds bad, but he's generally busy. So I've seen quite a lot of people put on Facebook like, you know, what's the best back person, etc., and loads of comments about somebody called Pureland's Massage. He's about 45 minutes away from here, so it's not too far. And I messaged her and I was like, hi, like, would you be able to come out and see my pony? And she was like, yeah. So she actually come out on Monday. It's Wednesday today. We had to wait a few days for her to come out, but although Mittens wasn't right, it wasn't like an emergency at the time, if that makes sense, because she wasn't extremely lame or anything. It was like, as you can see by the video, it was not like, oh my god, like we need a vet ASAP, but obviously we wanted to get it done because we want Mittens to be comfortable and happy. In that time of waiting for the back lady to come out, Pureland's Massage, Mittens come in hopping lame last Thursday evening. I finished work at 10. I come straight here, so I got up here about 10:15 to sort them out, and we done their food and everything, and Danny and Dawn come down because they know that they're going to get fed, and normally Mittens always comes down with them. She's always the last one to come down, but she's always behind them because she loves her food, and her food is literally evolved around her life. I'm not even kidding. I think it's like most ponies. And I was like, where is she? She wasn't coming down. I couldn't see her. I mean, bearing in mind I was using my phone torch, so it's not great, you know, 10:15, it's pitch black, and I was like, where is she? Oh my god, what's wrong? Anyway, I spotted her and she had her leg up like this. She wouldn't put any weight on her leg, and I was like, oh my god, it honestly looked like she broke her leg. She just wouldn't put any weight on it. And when I went to look at her foot, she was so happy to just put her hoof in my hand to like just release it. And I was like, oh my god, like I need to get her down here, because there's no good her being up on the top of the hill. Like I'm gonna have to try and get her down here. So managed to get her down here. She was eating her dinner, and obviously I was having a good look at her leg, making sure that there was no cuts, no swelling, no heat, which there wasn't. And I was like, oh my god, like what's she done? And then my mum was like, I think it could be an abscess, because if you guys have had horses that's had abscesses before, or you've experienced it, you will know an abscess, horses will come in like they have literally broken their leg. It's that bad. So we have this hair peroxide, which basically they say if you put it in your horse's hoof, if it froths up, they're likely to have abscess. If it doesn't froth up, they can still have an abscess, but it's more unlikely, if that makes sense. So we put it on her hoof, and it frothed up a little bit. It went a little bit white foamy, but like nothing like that bad. And we was like, yeah, I think she has got an abscess. So we cleaned her foot out and things. We packed it all up and poulticed it up. And my mum actually has this boot, which she's had for God knows how many years, before I was even born, for her other horses. And we just, like, I've never used it or anything. So we put it on Mittens, and like I said, Mittens, once I put the boot on, she was starting to put weight on her foot. So I was like, right, let's leave her in tonight, because I don't want her walking around if she's that bad. So we were sorting her stable out, etc. And I was like, I think we need to give her some Butte just to release a bit of, like, just to make her feel a bit more comfortable, because it's nothing worse if we are in pain or we've got a headache or something. We take a paracetamol or ibuprofen and then it just releases it and it just gives us a bit of time where we're not in pain. And I think that's what Mittens needs. Luckily we have plenty of Butte, so we gave her some Butte. We had to re-give her some more food because by this time she'd already eaten her dinner, and she was in a stable eating her Butte and things, and she seemed quite happy, and she was actually putting weight on her foot since the boot's been on. I'll insert a photo here, guys, of the boot on her foot. I did actually share it on my Instagram, so if you follow me you might have already have seen the picture. So anyways, the next morning, because it was so late, we didn't get home until like 12 o'clock that night. We didn't want to message our farrier because obviously it's a little bit ignorant at that time of night. If it was a bit earlier on, like 6:30 or something, we would have done it that night, but 12 o'clock, no. So we waited till the morning, we messaged our farrier and was like, hi Ian, that's his name, we think Mittens has got an abscess, we've poulticed it, she's been in overnight, is there any chance you'd be able to come out like in a few days or today if it's possible? And he was absolutely amazing. He replied straight back to us and he was like, yeah, I'll be there today at 3 o'clock, which is just incredible because we didn't expect him to be there like literally that day when we messaged him. So I come up in the morning, obviously Mittens was in, we left Danny and Dawn out. She was so good, she didn't even worry the fact that Danny and Dawn was able to roam in and out. But to be honest, they had a nice bed in their stable, so I think they just stayed up in the stable, in their own stables. Sorted Mittens out. I didn't let her out the stable because I thought she isn't going to be any better with how bad she was like the night before. So I was like, Mitch, you can just stay in the stable. I mucked out her stable, made sure she had plenty of hay and water, basically carried on with the day, and then I come back here for 3 o'clock for when the farrier come. He turned up and my mum let Mittens out of the stable door because she needed to muck her out, and Mittens walked out the stable absolutely fine, like she wasn't lame or anything. And my mum was like, oh my god, like we've called him, there's nothing wrong with her now, she's absolutely fine, we've wasted his time. My mum tried calling the farrier and was like, don't bother coming now, she's absolutely fine. Well, obviously he was driving on his way here, so he didn't answer the phone, so he would come and we was like, Ian, she's fine. And he was like, what? So he was like, right, let's have a look anyway, because, you know, he's here. And he was digging around and he was like, right, she doesn't have an abscess, but I know what the problem is. She's got a hole in her hoof. So he thinks that it's not something that's just happened like overnight or something. This has been going on for a very, very long time. It took time, though, to come out for her to be like she was. And basically what he thinks is there's been like grit and stones and mud and everything that's got up this hole, which has made it very, very sore for her. And that's why she was lame. And he was like, you know, all the bacteria being up there. Also, she might have stood on a stone and it's kind of grazed it and made it really sore. But he said this isn't something, because we asked him, was it us taking him up the road that's caused this? And he was like, definitely not. This has been happening for a very long time. It's just a coincidence that it's happened now. So he cleaned it all out, got all of the grit and mud and things out. And then we have terramycin spray. So we sprayed it in her hoof, and then we got cotton wool. Luckily we had our veterinary box. We packed it with cotton wool for her, and then yeah, and she went out in the field and you could start to see that she was walking on it, but you could see that she wasn't quite right. And he was like, there's nothing really you can do for that except for make sure that the cotton wool doesn't come out. If it does come out, then obviously make sure it's all clean, put some more terramycin spray in and pack it again with cotton wool. Just keep an eye on it, and basically eventually it will just grow out and you won't have the problem. But obviously it's taken a very long time to get it how bad she was, so it's probably going to take time for it to actually grow out. But there's nothing you can do about. Just make sure it's clean and make sure that the cotton wool's in there. So that's basically what we've been doing. It was actually going to be a week tomorrow when she come in hopping lame. So yeah, so that was that. So anyway, forwarding on, obviously we've been keeping an eye on her hoof and she's been absolutely fine. On Monday, the massage lady come out, and on Friday morning, I need to kind of like tell you guys so you kind of understand. Because Mittens has been in overnight, Mittens had puffy legs, which I wasn't concerned about at all, because it is normal and common for horses. If they've been in overnight or all day, their legs kind of like swell up. You know, Danny's does it as well. I do actually have Bioflow magnetic boots for him that he's had on for a few years now. He wears them every single night in his stable overnight. It just basically, in the morning when I take them off, his legs are not swollen at all. Like, they are literally amazing. You're not allowed to use them to like hack out in or travel in or to go out in the field, and they are purely just for being in the stable, whether they're in during the day or of an evening. And I literally cannot rate them enough. I don't, like, touch wood, I've used them for about 4 years now and I haven't had a problem with his legs being swollen. But Mittens, we're actually looking out for a pair for her. But she doesn't have any at the moment, and if I don't put Danny's magnetic boots on, his legs would swell. It's just that by having his magnetic boots on, they don't, but it's common for horses. So Mittens' legs was quite swollen, and I was like, I'm not worried about that because I know it's normal. And then on Monday, when the lady come up, obviously I've never met her before, this was like the first time. The plan was to actually vlog it. I filmed my intro and everything, and then when she actually got here, I was too embarrassed to vlog. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm fine of vlogging in front of my friends and things, but I haven't got the confidence yet to do it out in like public or in front of people that I don't know. I mean, I'm sure eventually it'll come, but just at this moment in time, it's just a no. And I always say, oh yeah, I'll be able to do it in public, and then I just can't. So I didn't actually vlog any of when the lady came out, Emma. So anyway, obviously we met her and things. I told her that Mittens wasn't quite right. She had to contact the vet to make sure that it's all fine for Mittens to have a massage, because obviously if it isn't, she doesn't want to make it worse. So she contacted the vet. The vet was like, oh yeah, like, you'll be fine to go ahead with a massage. So that was all fine. The lady wanted me to lead Mittens up the hill and back down, and obviously we know what the problem was with her back and things, and we said to her, you know, Mittens isn't going to look right on the front because she's got a hole in her foot, but the farrier's seen it and it's nothing to worry about now. Like, we've sorted it. It's just it's going to take time to basically grow out. So she was ignoring the fact that she didn't look right in the front, because we know what the issue is. And she was like, I don't want to do any work on her, because basically, and I'm going to be completely honest, I didn't notice this. I don't know if I didn't notice it because I'm no obviously vet. I don't know anything about that, because I'm not going to lie to you, I kind of still don't take that much notice of it and things, and I think it's just because I'm like clueless on anything like this. So Mittens has got a bit of fluid in her hock, and the lady did point it out to me, and I'm still kind of like, well, I can see a little bit of lump, which I take it is the fluid, but I'm not experienced or anything. So she's got a fluid in her hock. I am very aware when a horse has got like swollen legs, got heat and things like that. Like, I do notice that, but fluid in the hock, I didn't notice it because I've never seen a horse with fluid in the hock, if that makes sense. So she was like, there's definitely something going on from behind, which we knew there was anyway, but she was like, I don't want to do anything to her, because if I do stuff to her, it might make her worse than what she already is by not knowing what the actual problem is. So she was like, the only advice I can give to you is to get a vet out and see kind of what the problem is, and then once she knows what the problem is, then she can come back out and she'll be happy to do the work on her, but she just doesn't want to make things 10 times worse, which is absolutely fair enough. So Mittens just basically went back into the stable, and obviously she come all this way, we had to pay for her anyway, so we were like, don't just go home, like, you can come and do Dan, like, it's not going to hurt him to have a massage. Not that there's been any problems with Dan whatsoever, like with his back or anything, but we're just like, while she's here, she might as well just give him a massage, like, it's not going to hurt him. So she come over, and basically when you book to have this lady out, you've got to fill out this form to say how old your horse is, what their name is, how big they are, what you do, etc. So we had to fill that all out, because obviously I didn't do that for Dan because she wasn't coming out for Danny, but it was all done for Mitts. And she started doing the work on Dan, and I did say to her, because there has been one issue which hasn't been like a major issue, I have mentioned it on my vlog a few times, but basically my saddle keeps sliding to the left, which it has been for a while, and as soon as it started doing that, I contacted my saddle fitter to see if she would be able to come out. But again, my saddle fitter lives 2 hours away. She lives up in Cheddar. And she is extremely busy as well, because she is so good. And there's a lot of people down in this area that uses her, but she'll only come down when everyone kind of needs her, which is fair enough. There's no point her coming down just to us if there's no one else down in the area. It's just not worth it. So there is always a waiting list when we're waiting for her to come down. I normally get Danny's saddle checked every 6 months. That's unless if I do have a problem, then I try and get her down sooner. So I contacted her and I explained to her about the saddle, and she wasn't actually too worried about it, and neither was I, to be honest. I just wanted to get it like double checked to make sure it was all okay. Anyway, so obviously I've been riding him and continuing on as normal. I mentioned it to her when my mum followed me in the car when I took Mittens out the first time. Obviously I'm not going to notice this because I'm on him, but when she was behind me, she noticed that Danny's tail was going to the left, which is the side that my saddle's slipping to, and she mentioned it to me, and I said, to be fair, he's probably holding his tail to the left because it's my saddle going to the side, because if I ride him bareback, his tail's straight. So anyway, I was like, well, Julia's coming out. Julia is actually coming out next Tuesday, so there's not too long of a wait now. So I was explaining that to her because she needs to know if there is anything. And before I even had her out, I was like, if the saddle's going to the left, he is probably going to be a little bit tight on the left side because of his saddle that's like caused that. So she wanted me to lead him up the hill, walk back down the hill, then trot up the hill and walk back down the hill. The first time, and then I mentioned about the saddle and about the tail going to the left, so she asked me if I would be able to put his saddle on. So I put his saddle on, and instantly, I wasn't even sat on him, the tail went to the left, and she was like, right, I can see the problem. So anyway, we took the saddle off, and then she come in and she was basically massaging him, and she said his back is absolutely fine, there's nothing to worry about his back, but she said on the left hand side he is quite tight, and that's just because of the saddle going to the left. So she said, I'm going to sort that out for him. So that's basically what she's done. But like everything else, he's also tight in his hamstring, but again, that's on the left. Like all of the little niggly things that he's got on the left with tightnesses in the muscle and things is literally nothing to worry about. It is just because the saddle is going to the left, and if the saddle wasn't going to the left, we wouldn't have those issues. And obviously if the saddle was going to the right, I would have the problems that I have on the left on the right because it is the saddle. So yeah, so she's done all of that, and then we walked him back up the hill, and she was like, you know what, I wouldn't bother riding him. It's only a week, it's not that long, don't ride him because I've made him straight now. I've sorted out where he was like tight from his saddle. She said if you put that saddle on him now, he's going to instantly go to the left again, and what she's basically sorted out is then going to recreate the problem so that when the saddle fitter comes, it's going to be harder for her. So she was like, I've sorted him out now, so just leave it for a week, and then when the saddle fitter comes, she can sort the saddle out for me and everything will be fine. And I was like, yeah, that's absolutely fine. At the end of the day, Dan's happiness and wealthiness comes 1,000 times first before being ridden and everything like that. But she was like, you know, there's nothing wrong with him, so don't give him the week off. She said just take him for walks. Like, she was like, because the grass is shot up, like she said, there's nothing wrong with him, so keep him working throughout the week. You'll just have to lead him out. So we actually went and done that yesterday. We went round Small Block, which is where I take Mittens, and I walked it. Oh my god, guys, I am so unfit. I actually went with my dog. I took a few clips, so I'll put them in here of him. So yeah, so I'm going to take him for another walk today, but it's very hot today and I just feel like it's a little bit too warm to take him out for a walk now, so I'm going to take him out a little bit later on. She's also given me some exercises to do on the left side just to basically keep him supple and to help him out because obviously he was tight. So I've got to do carrot stretches to where his like girth area is, and then I've got to do stretches down by his cannon bone, and then I have to do this other one which is to do with his chest, which I think sorts out the hamstring, like his hamstring as well. I'm not 100% sure, but she showed me them and I've done them yesterday, and I've either got to do it after an exercise or as a groom, after a groom, sorry. But yeah, so he's all fine and everything. There is nothing to worry about with him. When the saddle fitter comes, Julia, I will explain to her about it. Hopefully she'll get it sorted. I will vlog that day. Well, I'll say I'll vlog it and I'll probably get to the day and I won't be able to film it, but I'll update you either way. The saddle fitter normally comes up here because I've had lots of problems with the saddle in the past. We used to have problems going downhill, so she used to come up here to watch me ride up and down the hill when we had the problems. But next week I'm going to Lorna's, which you guys, where I normally practice like my dressage tests and things. I'm going there to use her sand school. I've got some rather exciting news that's meant to be happening when the saddle fitter comes out, which was meant to happen this time last year but never did, and then it was meant to happen at Christmas time, so fingers crossed, touch wood, we will have it, and obviously I'll share it with you guys this time next week, which is rather exciting. So yeah, the rest of the week I'm just going to be leading him out. I was actually meant to go and do a fun ride this Sunday, but obviously, like, I'm not that worried about a fun ride. I'd rather him be happy and healthy, so I've cancelled the fun ride. And then next Tuesday I can get on him and I can basically ride him as on from next Tuesday. I'll be able to ride him and things. It's just this week, and then it'll basically just be back to normal, which is good. I'm gonna have her come back out again in a few months time because she's gonna have to come out for mittens, and I'm just gonna let her keep Danny up to date because normally Dan is kept up to date with the back people and everything like that. He is with his saddle, but he hasn't actually had his back done for a little while because I've had no issues with him where I'm like, God, I need to get the back person out. If I did have issues, obviously we would get them out straight away like we did with mittens. But yeah, I haven't, and you know, I didn't have any problems with him. I know about the saddle, which obviously the saddle fitter was coming out, but she just come and done him because Mittens was unable to have it done. Continuing on with Mittens' circumstances, or I don't really know what the word is to call it, bad news then. Obviously the lady, sorry, this is my drinks bottle. The lady was saying that obviously we need to get a vet out for her. So that day we rang, once she left, we rang the vet up and was like, would we be able to have out a certain vet which is very like thorough and he's really good. But unfortunately he's away on holiday and he doesn't come back till the 2nd of September, which is in a few weeks time. And as much as we would love to wait for him to come back, this needs to be sorted. We can't let her carry on like it. So the lady wasn't like, you know, you need to have the vet out this, like, that day or anything like that. She wasn't concerned like that, but she was like, a vet does need to come out. So we had this other lady who was actually come out before, like years and years ago with Mittens, and we booked her for Monday because she wasn't free this week, so we booked her for Monday. That was the plan. But to be honest with you, her leg, the swelling in her leg, like I said, the lady showed me that there was a lump on the hock. I take it that's where the fluid is, but I don't know anything like that. But I know when a horse's leg's swollen, and her leg is still swollen. It's her back hind leg, which is the side that we said she's lame on. So it hasn't gone down at all. I've been keeping a real close eye on it, especially since the lady's come, and it's just not any better. So we brought up some ice for her this morning to put on her leg, which I've done for 20 minutes, just to try and get the swelling down, but it hasn't seemed to work. And we are just slightly concerned about it because when I put my hand down on the leg, I can't feel any of the tendons or anything like I can on the others, and it's making me worry a little bit. and I don't like to see Mittens in discomfort. Obviously, we just want her to get sorted and for her to be happy, and you know, I hate seeing her walking funny and things. So we rang up the vet again this morning and was like, is there any chance she would be able to come out closer than Monday? I mean, it is Wednesday today, so there would still be a couple more days until she comes out. And luckily someone's cancelled for tomorrow, so she's coming out tomorrow to come and give her a check. And basically, whatever the problem is, I don't know, we asked the lady if she thinks Mittens will need to be scanned. We have no idea. If she does need to be scanned, it's going to be a little bit awkward because she's so naughty. Well, she's not naughty, but she's so bad when she needs to be scanned because we've experienced it with her ligaments. So yeah, but whatever needs to be done or whatever's wrong with her, we will get her sorted 100% and we'll make sure that she's happy, etc. So yeah, so basically in the video when I filmed it yesterday, I was like, oh, she's coming out on Monday, but change of plan, she is coming out tomorrow, and we just, whatever she's doing, we will get done for her 100%. So that's kind of the update on Mittens. So once the vets come out, depending on what's wrong with her and what she advises us to do with her, we'll get the massage lady back up to kind of work alongside the vet and us with Mittens, and then I'll just keep Danny up to date basically, because Danny seemed to really like that lady. I wasn't sure what he was going to be like. She must have been doing his hamstring and she was like pulling the tail out, and I was like, oh my god, I don't know what he's going to be like with that, because he's quite funny with new people. But he actually really liked her. He wasn't bothered at all, which is really good. So yeah, it's a very quiet week this week. Like I said, we were going to go to a fun ride. Also, the reason why there hasn't really been that exciting vlogs out recently is because after North Devon show, we were like, right, we're just going to have a break. We had 2 shows that week. Every weekend we was literally out doing something, and we was like, let's just have a few weekends off where we're not going out in the trailer, we're not getting up at ridiculous times. We'll just have a few weekends off, and then the plan was after the few weekends off to go out and just like go to the beach, go on fun rides, don't do any showing or jumping or anything, just go out in the trailer and do fun stuff like that, and then we'll come back to doing the jumping, etc. Because obviously there's nothing wrong with our jumping. It's been going amazing. As you would have seen, the last time we jumped was Pontuspool. He's been going amazing. I haven't been put off jumping or anything like that. It's just because we just wanted a few weekends off from going out in the trailer, and obviously I've been busy with showing, which is kind of taken over from jumping. But yeah, get Dan saddle sorted. Hopefully we'll have the exciting news next week, but I'll bring you guys along when the saddle fitter comes. Also, I'll keep you updated on all of Mittens. I'm not sure whether I will vlog tomorrow or not, because I'm going to be up here on my own tomorrow with the vet, and I'll be having to hold her and stuff, so I'm not going to be able to have somebody on the ground to like film and things like that. But I'll see basically what happens tomorrow. We'll keep you guys updated, keep you updated on Dan, etc. And yeah, I don't want to say I hope you guys have enjoyed this vlog, because I'm aware it's been a very long chatty video, but I do feel that you guys deserve to know about this. One quick thing that I would like to say to you guys is, I've actually said it on my Instagram, but I'm not sure if all of my subscribers and things that watch me on here actually follow me on Instagram. Let me know if you do in the comments, guys. But I just want to say a massive thank you to you guys. How supportive you all are. Like, it's just incredible. Like, it's not unnoticeable. I'm fully aware that you guys comment on my posts and you say lovely things on Instagram, the same as on here. You know, I get messages on Instagram saying lovely things about me and Danny and asking questions, which I do not mind answering at all. If you guys have got any questions that you want to put on the comments on YouTube or message me on Instagram, because I do have people that do message me, and I am 100% happy to respond to all of your message, comments, questions. Yeah, I really do appreciate it, because I come on doing YouTube because, you know, I wanted to look back at my memories and things, and I never imagined to have subscribers and viewers and people commenting and giving love and support on social media and things. I never imagined that in a million years, and you guys do, and it's just absolutely incredible. So I just want to say a massive thank you, because it really does mean a lot to me and I really do appreciate it. But yeah, any question you guys want to know, whether it's about the horses or anything, just let me know and I will respond to them. But yeah, I just want to say a massive thank you, because it really does mean a lot, and it's not unnoticeable, the love and support that you guys give to me. But anyway, please make sure that you like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.